Greetings, infinite blessings, and welcome to another moment of now. 2121 being the time in the UK, and today being the day. And once again, as always, today being the only day that we ever have, the only time that we ever have being now. Today I am going to open myself up to be that channel, to allow for whatever it is to flow through me, to flow through, to be received by whoever it is that requires whatever it is they require. Knowing that if we ever attach labels to anything, that we only ever limit whatever it is we're experiencing to those labels. By being able to be open to experience anything at any given time without a desire for any particular outcome means that we can then just enjoy everything that we experience. Likening it back to a film once again. In a film, the main character in a film, which in your film, your play, your game of life, you are the main character. In the film, there's quite often things which happen to the character which are less than desirable, let's say, less than what the character would otherwise choose to experience. With that said, if it wasn't for the exact events that the character experiences, they wouldn't then actually be able to end up journeying down that path towards their happy ever after. It's the less than chosen events quite often that we realize are exactly what we require. And the most powerful truth is that you choose it all. It's all a choice. To choose to be in a place of authority, to choose to be the creator, may sometimes feel less than truthful in many ways. Because quite often we can revert back to that feeling of being a victim, not having a choice, being told what to do, where to go, how to sit or behave, what to wear even, quite often. Jeez, my nose looks terrible. I used to have a straight nose, and one of my friends messing around headbutted me a few years ago and broke my nose. And there's the odd occasion where, again, I notice it, particularly on the Facebook stream as opposed to the Instagram. If I was to mind the fact that my nose is broken and wonky, it could become the only thing I ever see. Every time I think of myself, I would just think, oh, you ugly, crooked nose person. And every time I saw myself in a reflection, straight away my focus of attention would go to my nose. I would then feel lowered in myself and potentially blame my friend for having caused what I would then consider to be an impingement or some form of negativity in the projection or the external imagery that I am. With that said, I don't mind. I don't mind the fact that my nose is broken and bent. Because I don't mind it, doesn't matter. And again, that reverts back to the simplistic truth that if we don't mind something, it doesn't matter. Do you want to go out? I don't mind. Therefore, it doesn't matter if I go out or not. Do you want to do X, Y, or Z? I don't mind. It's only when we attach our mind to something that we then create a desire to control it or to actually manipulate any given situation or person to receive or experience the desired outcome. I want to have X, Y, and Z, therefore I'm going to go down the path that I believe will lead me to X, Y, Z. If I take that path and I don't end up reaching the desired destination, then I will feel victimized or hard done by. Poor me, it's not fair, and all the rest of that crap. Layla, how are you? Sophie, hello. How are you both? How is everyone doing? With today being Hump Day Healing, which is set as a weekly connect, just to again allow for that information, that wisdom, that energy to flow through. As the more that we release, the more we create space to then continue to be able to experience something new. So anybody watching on Facebook, you may be able to see in the background there's a mirror and there's loads of scribbles on it. That's exactly what I'm referring to here. The fact that if we release information, we create space for new. If you have a cup of water and it becomes polluted and you want to hold on to that body of water because you believe that it's yours, then you never allow for space to be made available to then bring in that new water, that new energy. If you hold on to something from the past, quite often, how very peculiar. Look at that. I've never seen that before. Facebook Live map. There's a map where everyone is live around the world. It'd be interesting. Anyway, so return back to what it is we are discussing. If anyone would like any particular healings or information, if anybody has any questions, please ask, and we will see what comes through. Beautiful. Getting out into the elements, back to nature, back to where we came from, where we originated from, back to who we are. As in truth, we are human beings, natural beings, not human doings, and not technological beings, technological beings. And as much as we are creating technology to be able to enhance human capability, and at the moment microchips being installed into the brains of chimpanzees so that they can not only read the thoughts but also actually control the movement of that chimpanzee. So you sit behind a computer, the computer reads the thoughts of the chimpanzee, eventually the person, and then they can program the chip to then get the person to do whatever it is they wish the person to do. If this does not ring alarm bells, so be it. I've got to a point recently where I fully embodied the truth that none of it matters. If humanity is to be free, so be it. If humanity is to be enslaved, so be it. All I can do is be true to me, to do me, and to live the best experience that I can live. To want to try to control or to change everything, I have the capability of doing, but only if I first do myself, put myself in that position. To change the world is not through changing another person. The healing of the world does not come about through helping or healing another. It comes about through the rediscovery and liberation of the self, the reconnection to the self. Timeless. It is time. We've now been the only time. And again, getting back out into nature, Layla, thank you for the reminder, is one of the places that I feel truly timeless. And it's those moments of escaping what we have classified as time that allow myself, anyway, to feel completely limitless in my potential to experience whatever it is. They, again, is we. And this is the fundamental truth that every single one of us, including me, is going to benefit from fully adopting and embodying. To say they, we're then classifying ourselves as separate. We are the universe in completion, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Therefore, they is we. Once we stop saying they, once we stop separating and classifying one as good and one as bad, this is an incredibly interesting topic. Every word that was popping up was one that was heavy. Interesting. Big Pharma. What is Big Pharma? Big Pharma is here to remind us and to show us that we have the capability that far supersedes anything that they are able to create in a laboratory. That we are born perfect, and that fear has been used through countless generations and civilizations to divide and conquer. When we are divided and conquered, we are easy to control. When we are divided, as in they and us, as opposed to we, when we are divided, we are easier to control. Everything everybody does, including the most sadistic, narcissistic, repressive, let's not go down that path, the person at the very, very top of the pyramid. They exist in a state of fear that far supersedes anything you have ever experienced. I know this because I am able to tune in to certain frequencies of certain people. The reason that there's very difficult to put it into any other words, isn't it? Other than we and they, the light and the dark. But again, the light is the dark and the dark is the light. One would not exist without the other, and they both complete each other. The yin and the yang, the masculine and feminine. There is no separation other than the illusion of it. The person at the very top is in such a state of fear because they have utilized the laws of existence that we all have access to. But they have done it for this single self. Everything I do is for the collective, and I have come to a realization that in order to best benefit the collective, I must first benefit myself, and that by flowing through a vast amount of abundance, I can then benefit everyone around me, like a tap. If the tap is only trickling a stream of water through it, then it doesn't provide very much water for everybody around it. If there is a deluge, an absolute flow that is continual and everlasting through that tap, then everybody can benefit from the ingesting of the water that is required for our very sustenance and survival. The future is crystals. By opening up ourselves to benefit everybody else, it continues that feeling of flow with the actual source of that abundance, that wisdom, coming from the heavens, coming from the universe, coming from around you. It's the exact same way that we are able to feel fully energized at all times. We flow the energy through us. When we become separated from that connection to source, we quite often can revert back to old programmed responses or directions of attention, where we then seek that energy uplift, that feeling of connection or approval from another person, Oh, please like me. Please want me. Please need me. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel energized. That makes me feel energized. The energy that you have access to, that you can harness and embody, that you can just breathe in from the universe around you, that you are yourself, far, far outweighs anything you can ever get or receive from another person. The person who is at the top, who is in the greatest state of fear of anybody, is bent on full, absolute dominance and control because they do not have access to the same stream of energy that we do. They do have access to it, but they have cut themselves off because everything they do is for the egoic eye as opposed to the cosmic consciousness of I, the eternal I. So what it is that they are doing, and this is part of the current situation, is they have came to the conclusion, the desire, that they must possess everything. If they own it all, then the source of energy is theirs in completion. So look at it like, okay, body of water, all the water on the planet again. So there's lots of different oceans, all connected to one another, so it's the same body of water. Then there's lots of different lakes, rivers, ponds, whatever, estuaries, canals, reservoirs. There's lots of different areas of water. The person who owns the ocean, again, this is money that we're talking about here. The person who owns the world's ocean, as in the most amount of wealth, will not be happy until he owns all of the water, because he believes that he is limited and only able to access that water, that money, that energy, that life force, through taking it from other people around him. When he gets to the point where he believes that he owns it all, no matter who is below him, they will be in debt to him. Therefore, they will have, or he will have, complete dominance and control over everything, over all the water. He will then be able to tax or charge people accordingly for the smallest droplet of water, where previously it was free for everybody to enjoy, or it was charged equally and evenly. If there's 10 people, each with a equal amount of water, each distributing it to people around them, then there is equality and fairness, harmony. If one person owns it all, it's only going to cause destruction, to say the least. I haven't put this very well. What I was shown is that literally the person who believes that they need to control everything has created this situation so that they can close all small companies down, and anybody that is to retain any form of ownership or running of any form of company will be in their pocket, will be in their debt. Everybody being in debt to the same one person means that that one person would then feel as though they owe the entire world. They do this because they are so fearful and have placed their worth on complete dominance and control. They're more fearful of losing what they have than we are of what we have. That is why they're never going to win. That is why the light will always overcome the darkness, because to the light, the darkness is just an area of darkness that can be filled with the light. It doesn't really mean anything. The light doesn't really mind the dark. It's just that, oh, over there, there's dark. If I travel over there, it becomes light. Oh well, not really too fussed either way. To the darkness, the light is the destruction of it. It ceases to exist. When an area becomes fully illuminated, the darkness has nowhere to hide. They are we. I am you, as you are me. Yeah, that's easy to understand and to accept when the person that is presenting that information is somebody that you resonate with. I am you as you are me. We, including them, they, Pharma, whoever it is, whatever label, whatever face that the same self is wearing, and whatever programs, whatever information that that person has at their disposal, which causes them to respond and react and make decisions accordingly. It's all information. The most recent YouTube video from last week that I put up was one about racism and my truth in having been previously what I would classify as racist. So I openly say I was once fearful of people of a different coloured skin because of the education and the perspective I had of the world. I was told X, Y, and Z as a child without any form of information to counteract it. I took that to be true. Why would I not? When there's my people around me, my family, mostly the elder male population of my family. And again, then because I was fearful of something, because I didn't understand it, I became fearful of it even more to a degree. If the ego does not understand something, it becomes threatened by it, or it doesn't understand, it will condemn. I'm the mighty ego, I must stay mighty. I don't understand this thing over here, so this thing over here must be wrong. It's not that I'm wrong, this must be wrong, because I'm the mighty ego. So if I'm the mighty ego and I don't understand this, what I'll do is I'll attack it and condemn it and try to actually destroy it. And then, when it's not there anymore, I can go back to being the mighty ego, confident in the fact that I'm aware and in control, that I'm superior and dominant. It's information, it's education once again. People are so funneled into a way of conformism. Take this pill, put this thing in your body. It's what's best for everyone involved. Is it? Okay. But without any other further information, without any balance to the equation, when everything is run by that one person at the very top, funneled down, and each person below them has more pressure and more reason to conform because they are fearful of losing what little they have, then when we get to the bottom, everything has been so manipulated and channeled that we have no real choice in what we do. And this is very, very... My children, right? They don't like school. Surprisingly, I never liked school. It's repressive. There's too much conformism. There's too much requirement to be straight-lined and to follow the same sort of thing as everybody else. We're not all the same. And the education system needs to be changed at a fundamental level, which is part of what we will be doing within the co-creation global charity. Creating conscious parenting programs, courses, workshops, as well as conscious children. Courses to take, information, and eventually cartoons. Beautiful. Cartoon series, as well as a radio show, as well as a magazine, etc., etc. Lots to be done. Continuously working. And I am back in a position where it is a joy as opposed to feeling as something that needs to be done. So it's beautiful to be back in alignment with myself, talking to you all now. Mind manipulation, 100%. White is right. Yeah. It's all information. And if we're only ever given a certain amount of information, if you're raised in a single, and this has happened to people in the past, where they've been raised in one room and they believe that room is the entire world. You take somebody out of the room, it blows their entire view of reality out of the water. Once we take ourselves out of the room of the mind, once we reconnect back to, life is a game. That is the truth of it. 100%. The game of life. I'm the avatar being, the character that I've chosen to play, and I'm the player, the higher self playing it behind. I'm also the creator of the game, having actually created the blueprint and the programming within it. And I have access, because of this, to secret entrances, to information, to cheat codes, if you like, that will help me in my game. If I wish to embody and vibrate at a character of lack and limitation, I will never be able to play the level of abundance, because the character of lack and limitation cannot play the level of abundance. It does not vibrationally match. It doesn't work. It's like trying to put Pac-Man into a Sims game. It doesn't compute. It's all mathematics. It's all vibration, with ones and zeros being everything in completion. And very quickly, stop trying to be one, as one is not the answer. The answer is zero. Yes, just like the rabbit. Just like the rabbit hole. And zero being the answer. Zero completes itself. And whatever you put zero on the end of, whatever zero comes after, it multiplies by a magnitude of 10. We are stood upon the shoulders of giants. All those greats, all those masters, all those ascended beings of old, you have access to all of their information, all of their wisdom. And you do so once you come into full completion, as opposed to being me, I, the single self, being the eternal self, venturing down that rabbit hole. When you come into this realization, it does. 8 is infinite. Then we realize that they are we. That there is no separation. And that it's just information and programming, and the more information we can continue to distribute, the more that we can reach everyone. And even those people that are void of empathy, let's say, they're still part of the same self. And then there's some people that are only empathetic, that will do everything possible in their life to ensure that somebody else is always prioritized over themselves. So to balance out the equation mathematically, as that's what it all is again, energy mathematically equated and represented as physical form through our ability to perceive it as such. Stop being so empathetic, and then it'll balance out the equation. There won't have to be such narcissists in the world. We create it all, remember? We being you. You being the main character in your game, with everything else in it created by you, for you. Anytime you become separated from this truth, just ask yourself or remind yourself, how do I want to experience this game? This is my game. For me. Why the fuck do I want to go over there and be victimized when I can go over there and live in abundance and bliss? If it exists in here, it can be materialized out there. Everything in existence was first a thought before it came into the physical, before it was created. Everything, including you. Close your eyes, picture it so. There's nothing that you cannot experience. You can experience it all as you are it all, and you have access to it all. Thank you. G'day. Hey, Monica. There is many agendas taking place. There's many forms of manipulation and mind control. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there. And again, who creates it all? True. To desire anything is a sign of a disconnect to it. To desire abundance, to desire freedom, to desire liberation. So again, to realize or to come back to a truth that I don't mind either way. If humanity is to be free, so be it. If humanity is to continue down a path of enslavement, to become controlled and manipulated and implemented with technology so that they are easier to utilize as a cog in the wheel, so be it. I've been to both ends and I know what one I'd rather experience, but I'm here just to experience it. Love the agenda. I love it all. Again, what is it that dissolves it? What is it that supersedes it? What is it that's always the answer? It's love. Look at it all as water, energy, as water. Each of us a single droplet, separate droplet, that together create the ocean of existence. Sometimes water can become hot. People can become frustrated and angry, and literally steam venting from their ears. That steam is still water. It may not appear to be so, but it's the same frequency, it's the same body, it's the same self. People that are incredibly angry, they're still love. People who are incredibly cold and appear to be separate or void of all emotion, piece of ice, still that same water. And upon returning that water, that ice, to that water, to the love, it melts the separation or the illusion of it and returns that body of ice, that cold-hearted person, back to the truth of who they are, back to love. All religions speak of this. We all have that same element, that same energy, that same aspect within us, that God force energy, that Buddha energy. It exists within us all. Some of us have more layers of separation and illusion that are covering it, but it exists within us all, as we are it all. You can't create some of it and not some of it. You create it all or none of it. Okay, you create it all or none of it. You can't have it both ways. All or nothing. So, if you create it all, you have to also be it all. You can't be only the good stuff and not the bad. You can't be, I'm the universe in completion, but only the unicorn and rainbow bits. Or the dark, repressive stuff. That's not me. That's denial. And that very denial is a form of, to use the word, narcissism. Because it's all about the self once again. Instead of knowing that I am everything and none of it really matters because it's all part of a bigger picture and equation, it goes back to the I'm good and they're bad. I'm classifying myself as separate and I'm only desiring what is for this separate self as opposed to what is for everything else. And that is narcissistic in tendency. So again, I'm a narcissist. I'm a sinner. And I'm also a saint and a lover. So, which character or which qualities of the character would I rather continue to invest my time and energy with him? Press pause, open up the menu. Okay, got all these characteristics. Where am I going to put my chips of information, my power up potential? You know, you play a computer game, you go through, you collect up different tokens, and then you use the tokens, you spend the tokens to level up certain attributes. Let's run faster, let's be stronger, let's be more adept at survival, whatever it is. It's exactly what we're doing. It's just information. It just depends on how you embody it and the way you utilize it to the outcome of it. It's you. It's all you. It's always been you, and it will always be you. Stop trying to blame anything else. Sometimes we don't have control over things outside of ourselves, such as the weather, but collectively we do. And I'm starting to realise, Mario Brothers, go around and collect those stars. Get the mushrooms as well. They're pretty fun. Mushrooms and stars. There'll always be a boss or an area to overcome in that game. That again is part of the game. And you create it. Beautiful, beautiful statement. Thank you. You, people around me, exist only in my mind. I can understand this, but this signifies I'm the only one in existence. Yes. Without the mind to interpret it, none of it would exist. So within your mind, all of it exists, dependent on your perception of it and your unique perspective and the previous events and information that you have to cross-reference it with. If you believe something to be good and you see it take place, you'll think, oh, there's something good happening over there. Somebody else that believes that thing to be bad, eating meat as an example, will say, oh, there's something bad happening over there. It's the same event. It's just perceived from different perspectives. Which perspective is right? Well, both of them and neither of them. Take away the mind, none of it exists. Take away the mind, and it doesn't matter. Always. So, you are everything and you are nothing. And it's the returning back to that simplistic truth that you are everything and nothing, which is the start and the end to it all. Okay, single form, single self, single consciousness. It becomes aware of itself. And it has nothing to do other than to be aware of itself. So it then discovers that it can create or separate itself. Let's look at it as a tree. Single seed. One single seed. And then the Big Bang, the creation of it all, is the sprouting and then the growth of that tree. All the leaves on the tree are all separate but all part of the same. Each have a perspective and a different viewpoint of reality. What one's true? What one's real? What one's more important than the other? Or is it all the same? You are the only one in existence. When you come into full realization and connection to the truth of who you are, once you let go and surrender yourself to yourself, well, none of it fucking matters. And then you can just kick back and enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride for whatever it is. Whatever it is. Yeah. Mushrooms, stars, and moon. What a beautiful, beautiful evening. Most enjoyable during the summer months as opposed to the more colder months. But again, that's a preference, whereas some people might enjoy the cold. I'm me. I like me. I'm quite happy with the way that I perceive the world to be and what it is that I'm doing to develop a world that I feel even more in harmony and in tune with. Again, doesn't really matter. And none of it is ever a failure. I've dedicated myself to the work that I do, to the creation of a world of true harmony, as I've moved away from the word equality, because I know that it cannot always be equal. It's impossible to have a world that is equal, because that would dictate the fact that a newborn baby would be expected to do the same amount of, let's say, hard labor as myself, that I would be expected to be able to birth life into this world. That's last I checked, I don't have the capability of doing, but women around the world do. Many do. So again, to be equal is to just return back to that single self, the everything and nothing. Yes, breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs. And that's where the whole deja vu thing is like, have I done this before? What's happening here? Because you have done it before. We've lived this life before. And we're living this life again and again, but when? Now. There's as many different versions of yourself as you can imagine, experiencing as many different versions of reality and circumstances within them as you can imagine. There's a version of me that lives on the street. There's a version of me that lives in a castle. There's a version of me that is at the moment sat here talking to you, and there is a version of me that is at the moment sat here talking to you. Most of the time it's major events which will create a new existence. If there is something you are fearful of experiencing in the future and you focus upon it, you will more likely create it, as you will vibrate in accordance to it, attracting it to you and actually focusing your direction of attention upon it and walking that path towards experiencing it. Yeah? If you're fearful of experiencing something and you hold that thought, that frequency, that vibration, then you are most likely going to manifest it, experience it, and then go, oh, see, I was right. I knew it was gonna happen. Life shit. Well, yeah, because you've just created it so. Fucking hell. This took me the ending of my perception of reality, the end of my marriage, and a life that I had been living for a very, very long time. The focusing on the two single elements that I did not wish to experience, things that my dad did and was that I didn't want to become, because I focused so intently upon them to the point where I couldn't see anything else. Lo and behold, what did I create subconsciously? Those two exact things that I never ever wanted to experience or to do. It then took me another few years and a few more experiences to the point where I was like, there is no denying the fact that I create my own reality. There is no denying it. And I have become such a powerful manifester that I must be very mindful. I don't have to do anything. I can just lie in a hole and manifest darkness all around me if I want. That's not really what I want. If I'm not mindful, it is quite often the way that the old programming can try to divert me towards. I can manifest now like that. Doing so for somebody else, easy. Doing so for this self, not quite the same. Yeah. And that's where, funny but painful, is once we get through the pain and then we laugh at it, that we are then free from it once again. 100%. 100%. If instead we accept that there is something potential that is negative, but that we will focus on the positives, being aware of the potential, then we can know that there is something that we can respond to should it come to be, but that we are not focusing on that direction, that we are traveling towards this. Okay, there's a potential that the whole world is to be forcefully V'd and chipped and controlled and etc. etc. This is potential. Everything is a potential. This is a potential. Okay, what am I going to do? What are we going to do? People, listen to this. What are we going to do? Focus on the fact that that could become true, all focusing our light of attention and our manifesting capability upon that potential future. What the fuck are we creating? And I'm being deadly fucking serious here. What are we creating? Focusing on that future version of world that we don't wish to experience, with fear over the existence of it. Exactly what it is that they are manipulating you into creating. Okay, there's a version of reality that exists in the future where everybody is X, Y, and Z. I accept that. Not my reality. That can exist over there in that other reality, that other realm of existence. Crack on. Exist over there, because everything exists. The potential of it means that it has the capability to exist. Great. There's a world over there. Go exist over there. A realm of existence. In this one that I am co-creating with you, you beautiful divine being, we are focusing on the fact that we are love. And then we are the light. And that light fills even the darkest of rooms. And that no amount of darkness added can extinguish that light. And by illuminating another, by asking a simple question, which is why, to another person, and having them look inside and question themselves and their decisions. I hold, above all else, in here, that future version of reality that I have walked, that I have experienced firsthand as I've been there. And that's why I know none of it really matters. Even reaching that destination doesn't matter. But I know I'll reach that destination, so I know every step that I take between here and there is taking me towards there. It's perfect. It truly is. I know it may not seem so, but it is perfect. As are you. The universe is perfect. To view it any other way is to undermine the existence of it. It is perfect, as are you. Thank you for everything you're continuing to do. It's unmistakable. It truly is. Thank you, Monica. Thank you all. I love you all. Please reach out should you have any questions. It's becoming timeless once again. When I do these, I kind of step outside of time. How? So it's 2212 on 0505 2021. To label the fact that we exist in the matrix is to create the matrix. And a video that I'm going to create very soon is just about really what I've been discussing today. And anybody that is familiar with David Icke, which I would imagine is quite a few of you, he brought to creation quite a few things that he predicted. If we predict something in the future, such as I'm predicting the world of true harmony for all, if we then all focus our attention upon it, then we create it, yeah, because we co-create it all. If somebody comes out and says, "Oh, I've seen a version of my guides have told me that in the future X, Y, and Z is going to happen. We're all going to be forcefully this, that, and the other," and then if you have a following, say you've got 1 million people that have watched that video and followed it and actually believed it. I've watched it. I remember watching the video. This is going back 5 or 6 years, where he was predicting things that were going to come to be, which have come to be, including the current situation. If we're not very, very mindful of the information we put out there, which is why in the creation of the portal, the online platform that we're making, it's going to possess or house so much powerful information that it needs to be distributed mindfully. As in the wrong hands, the the understanding of the fabric of reality and how to create whatever life that you wish can be used to create a world that we are currently within, to benefit only the self as opposed to everyone else. That's what's happened. The information has gone into the wrong hands. That is why we are collecting it all back up and distributing it to those that are ready to receive. They will only use it to the benefit of everybody, including themselves. Self first, and then overflow to everybody else. You are the tap. Allow that water to flow through you, and in doing so, everybody gets to drink. I love you all. Peace out. Namaste.